I'd like to wish you all a very warm welcome and thank you for giving up your time to join us on this evening's Men Are From Mars event. Just to clarify, it's not about Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It's a platform where our male and female speakers can share their story, their journey, their products or their services, or a combination of everything. So I'm Carol Edmondson, and I'm your host, and I host 2 events, global events, online for KaushalyaUK as a volunteer, which I've been doing for the last 3 years now, just over 3 years. It's an amazing not-for-profit community interest company, and the main purpose why Ritu Sharma, the CEO and founder of KaushalyaUK, who is online in the background as she is not able to join us live. She's had a horrendous week, but she's still here. So she will be listening in. So Ritu Sharma, she has dedicated her life to bringing women of this world to find their own power and true worth. The aim of the organization is to empower, connect communities, raise awareness of issues that affect women, with this distinct objective of KaushalyaUK, not just to support those who are in dire straits or dire need, but also to support women who are on a journey to create a life of fulfillment through their personal, professional, and financial growth. Projects include education, personal and professional growth, health and well-being, financial education and entrepreneurship, as well as social events. So just before I start, can I ask everyone to make sure their mics are on mute, which will assist me greatly? And Q&A. So when all 3 speakers have spoken, some of you may have seen that we were promoting 4 speakers. Unfortunately, Sophia Manoralis is unwell and not able to join us, regrettably, this evening, but her health comes first. So we will reschedule Sophia sometime in the new year, and I'm so looking forward to hearing her share. So it gives me great pleasure. Do you understand how great? Sorry, just letting someone in. Great pleasure it actually gives me to introduce our first speaker to you. And I've been waiting to hear from this gentleman for a while. So kicking us off this evening, super excited to introduce you and to welcome Howard Brown, who will be sharing his story, his journey with us. A bit about Howard. He is a Silicon Valley entrepreneur, best-selling author of Shining Brightly, award-winning international speaker, inspirational podcaster, survivorship coach, health technology consultant, and 2-time stage 4 cancer patient, and survivor 30 years apart. He shares the keys to leading a resilient life and hope that drives successful community leadership, business innovators, and healthcare advocates. Be prepared to be inspired. What more can I say? Howard, I yield the floor to you, my dear. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Carol and Ritu. I am just so grateful to be here and to touch people around the world. And I know this replay will be shared over and over again. And I'm also glad to share the stage with other speakers and learn from them as well. And so I first want to say that we have to get and set the tone here. So I'd like everybody to join me, and we're going to take 2 deep breaths. We're going to take a breath in, hold it, let it out. 1 more deep breath, and let it out. Now, also, I want to get a little motion going. We call this the Rocky, right? We're being Rocky. Punch it, show us our resilience here. Then I want you to show me your ego. Superman pose. Give me a Superman pose, Superwoman pose, right? And now I want you to actually grab your tush, grab your butt, and give it a squeeze. Okay, don't squeeze someone else's unless they let you. But now we're going to get our rear in gear and we're going to get to work here. So thank you for getting this. Everyone's been working or at home or putting the kids to sleep. it's time to focus a little bit. And so I'm going to share my screen, and I've got a couple of slides that I would like to show you. And let's see if we do this correctly, if technology cooperates. There we go. Now we open it up and we move the Zoom bar, right? All right, I think it worked, right? Everyone sees me? Okay, excellent. All right, so we're going to get started. And I am Howard Brown, and my mantra in life is to help people get back up again. I'm a survivorship coach. I'm the only one in the world that I know about that. And I am not a psychotherapist or a doctor. I am a lived experience. I've gotten back up from very harsh health concerns, which we'll talk about. But I've gotten back up from little bumps in the road too, in the business world, in relationship, and just in life. And so I want everyone to understand that we wake up every single day and we look in the mirror. Women put on makeup, you comb your hair, you get your kids ready. You men, we take a shave, sometimes in the shower, sometimes in the mirror. If you think about it, what do you see in the mirror? And I have to tell you, most people do not like what they see in the mirror. They don't. They're too fat, they're too tall, they're too skinny, they're too ugly. They don't like their life, they don't like their job, they don't like their kids. They think about this and they're starting the day off on the wrong note, and they're looking in the mirror and they're not actually looking deep within themselves, okay? Because we're coming off of the pandemic where it was okay to not be okay to a point. And so I talk about walking in darkness, and many people do this all the time. It's okay. A little bit of darkness makes you tough. It gives you some resilience. You can't stay there that long. And so when you look inside, what do you really see? And in COVID, we had lots of loneliness, which led to depression, which leads to bad stuff. But what did you look in the mirror and see this morning? So we'll talk about that in a second. Now, what you see on the screen is a cancer hospital here in Boston, Massachusetts. And I would go to these recovery and therapy sessions, and all I heard was how people hated their lives. Well, you have every right to hate your life because you've been given a cancer diagnosis, or you're a caregiver taking care of someone with a cancer diagnosis, but only to a point, okay? So I gave these as gifts to over 400 people at the hospital, from nurses and doctors and patients and anyone who would take one. And this little mirror said, I like me. And I asked people, what do you like about yourself? Even more, what do you love about yourself? So I want everybody to take out their cell phone, right? Okay, this is an unusual request, right? And I want you to take a selfie of yourself. I'm doing it right now. Okay, and you don't have to finish this now, but I want everyone to send that selfie to yourself. You can actually text yourself. And I want you to, in that text, say, I like me, or I love me, and use that as a reminder, and then describe what you love about yourself. Everybody has something they love about themselves. And I want you to start off your day looking in the mirror, looking at that picture, okay, and tell that. The next thing I want you to do with that picture is I want you to send that to a dear friend, someone you haven't talked to in a while, someone you might be not getting along with. And I want you to send that picture, and I want you to say, I care about you. And see what happens. See what happens. So you're going to take one selfie, you're going to actually send it to yourself and tell yourself why you love yourself. And then you're going to send it to someone else and say, I care about you. And watch what happens. Watch what happens. All right. So now I'm going to actually switch slides here. All right, this is the tough slide. This is a collage of my life the last 7 years. Now I'm going to take you down my story and give you the highlight reel. I've got a book called Shining Brightly. That's my memoir. That is a book about kindness and resilience and hope and how to live a good life by lifting up others. But if you look at this collage, you're going to see that I faced some really tough times. I got knocked down, but I had to be able to get back up again. And what did I learn from that? So I'm going to share that with you. So first miracle, I'm 23 years old and I'm driving down the Pennsylvania Turnpike to a job promotion in Dayton, Ohio. It's about a 12-hour drive. I get out of my car because I notice a red bump on my cheekbone, my left cheekbone. This is 1989. For those of us that remember that, there were payphones on the side of the road. I used a payphone and called home to mom and dad and said, I got a little bump on my cheek. It's probably nothing. And I went on, I started my job. I went to the gym. I was playing basketball, and this little bump got bigger and bigger. And I wore glasses at the time, and my glasses started not sitting correctly on my cheek. And thank goodness I actually went back to Boston to speak at a banking conference. And my dad, who I went to visit, took me to a hospital to get checked out. And they said it was nothing. But they took a biopsy. They took a second biopsy. And then I went about my life. I went traveling to Florida, to New York, and back to, I don't think I made it back to Ohio. And I got a call to come back to Boston. And I went to this community hospital and I had a greeting party. 7 doctors were waiting for me. They didn't know what I had, but they said, you have an appointment at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in Boston. It still didn't register with me. They said, show up at 2 o'clock, don't be late. I said, well, that's good because I have a plane flight out at 7. So, I'm busy anyways, but I'll go to that appointment. I showed up at this hospital and it's a world-renowned cancer research hospital. Everyone was so nice and kind, but I noticed 2 things. Older people and old people in one waiting room and little kids in the other waiting room. I'm 23 years old. There wasn't a waiting room for me. So I went with the kids that were 5 years old and 6 years old that were bald, and they were playing games and eating candy. So that's what I did. I sat down with them and watched them. Finally, I was called in for testing, and I was brought into this very senior oncologist's office, and there was a young man, a Harvard fellow doctor oncologist sitting behind him. And he says, young man, you have stage 4 T-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, blood cell of your lymphatic system. You have a very aggressive cancer, and we're going to throw the kitchen sink at it. I look back at my mom and she's in tears. I look back at my dad and he's a statue. And I look up at this young doctor, maybe only 5 or 6 or 7 years older than me. And I say, what is he talking about? I feel fine. Now, the spot had grown to the size of a golf ball. But I finally didn't, it took months for them to determine what it is. So a blood cancer of my lymphatic system. If you Google that right now, it will tell you that I had about a 2% chance of living 6 to 10 months. I'm 23 years old. Am I going to die? So I do more testing. I come back to do chemotherapy, and they tell me my liver function test was too high. So Dr. Rubin, the young doctor, says, we're going on a field trip. We're going to the cryogenic center. I said, you told me I'm going to die. I better do chemo. I got to do it now. And he said, no, it's unsafe. Go to the cryogenic center, which is the sperm bank, and deliver a sample. It'll make you feel good. Ha ha, right? So I did, and I forgot about it. Well, I had no good news. I failed all the chemotherapies that they were throwing at me. But one piece of good news, my twin sister, I have a twin, she's 5 minutes older, CJ Brown Gingras, she actually was an exact bone marrow match. And on May 17th, I entered the hospital. They gave me full body radiation. They gave me toxic chemotherapy to bring my immune system down to 0, called nadir. And I was very vulnerable. I was a boy in an isolated bubble. They had to gown up and scrub up to come in and even see me. And on May 24th at 5:45 p.m., I received my sister's bone marrow. Now, they tell you it could kill you right away. It could kill you shortly after. You could develop graft versus host disease, or this might work. Well, my sister being exact match, I hit the lottery. It's a 1 in 25,000 chance. And I want to tell you, this is my part of my show and tell. After they all left the room and I didn't die right away, I took the bone marrow bag. This is my bag of life. This saved my life. I got my life back. I got to put the old nursery rhyme back, Humpty Dumpty back together again. Now I had to do that emotionally, physically, financially, in my career and in relationship. So I moved to California. I'm back to playing basketball. I get my career back on track, and I meet the love of my life, Lisa, who's pictured in here with her arm around me. And we started our lives together, Hollywood style. We're in California. And I started to do a lot of community service and raising money for those in need and others. We moved to Silicon Valley, and she said, you know, we're not getting any younger. Plus, you have to stop working 20 hours a day, because I fell off the bus. I didn't learn my lesson. I was a workaholic. And we actually ordered the frozen sperm to be delivered to San Jose, California. We went through in vitro fertilization, and our miracle daughter, Emily, was born in 2001, 11 years later. Miracle number 2, our frozen kidsicle. And that's in my book, so it's not offensive. A miracle, I got a daughter. So then we moved the family. My twin sister calls, I'm moving to Michigan. My wife's from Michigan. My daughter will grow up with cousins and family. I'm from Boston. My mom will come out a lot. Unfortunately, at age 50, I went in for my colonoscopy. Okay. The age now in the US is 45 to get screened, unless you have family history or you actually have symptoms. And I woke up from that colonoscopy and lightning struck again. I had an 8.5 centimeter tumor in my intestine, stage 3 colon cancer. They took out 13 inches of my colon. They inserted a chemo port. I did 12 cycles of chemotherapy that I don't wish on my worst enemy. I did another colon resection because it didn't work. I did a failed clinical trial. And in July of 2017, the cancer spread to my liver, my stomach lining, and my bowel. Well, if you Google that, I had about 4% chance of living 6 months. I thought I was going to die and not see my daughter graduate high school. I went through a little more chemotherapy, and in March of 2018, I ended up having this massive surgery where they actually cut me open from chest to pelvis. They cut out all the cancer that you can see, including a gallbladder, shaving my liver, removing my stomach lining, taking out a lot of my bowel, sewing me up with 90 staples, and said, go heal. Well, I was a ghost. I had to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Well, I'm here to tell you that on September 20th of this year, I am 4 years, no evidence of disease, going on to 5 years of remission. All right. I live in the stage 4 cancer world. People die all the time, and it's not because they give up their fight. It's because their cancer burden became too great, and God called them to heaven. Well, God's got a plan for me because I'm breathing. I'm still here. I have lots of chemo brain, PTSD, peripheral neuropathy, lots of digestive issues, but I am breathing, and I'm here to build the Shining Brightly movement. So what am I grateful for? What do I see when I look in the mirror? I say it every day. I am grateful. I am blessed, and I am damn lucky. And I have to go do something about it, which is lift up others. Because what did I learn from cancer 30 years apart? It's not what you get in this world, it's what you give. And so many people gave to me in my time of need. And I am grateful for that. And now we have to actually pay it forward all the time. And so those are my miracles. So when you get knocked down for the little things and the big things, you must get back up again and lift yourself up so that you can lift up others. And we can become a force multiplier for good and positive change in this world. And for all you life coaches out there, that's the alignment that we have. And my coach, Gail Kraft, is on here today. All right. So now the exercise, okay, and chapter 1 of my book, okay, is my grandmother who came to this country of the United States and in the early 1900s. She spoke of 3 things. And these three things are really, really important. She said, you can choose to be kind. The Jewish word or the Hebrew word is chesed. You can live a life of chesed, of living kindness. You can choose to do that every day. You can choose to actually be giving. The word is called tzedakah. It's the justice of giving every single day. And then you can choose to heal yourself and heal the world. And that is called tikkun olam. Because this world, we are born into it broken and we leave broken. But we can choose to heal ourselves and each other every single day. Now, Carol noticed something in the green room. I'm wearing a pin, okay? And I wear something blue every day. And if I was on stage with you right now, you'd see me in a pair of blue sneakers. Why do I wear blue sneakers and wear something blue every day? Well, every cancer has a color, okay? And that color, okay, for colorectal cancer is blue. And what does that remind me of? Well, number one, it says, go get screened, go get your mammography, go get your prostate check, go get your cardio check, go to the dentist. We didn't do that over COVID. You are not performing at your optimal level unless you're healthy. One of our speakers wasn't able to attend today because they weren't at the optimal level. Second thing is that for anyone going through a battle of cancer, I want to be intentional about recognizing that battle because I lived that battle. My caregiving wife lived that battle. And if you know someone with cancer or a disease or something else, an illness, they're going through that battle, and that's intentional. And the last thing is that you have to recognize the memory, okay, of those who aren't with us, because that's how we honor them. We honor their memory by speaking of them, thinking of a good thing they taught us, a joke, or my grandmother's beautiful brisket that she cooked. I could taste a bite right now. That is honoring the memory. That is living intentionally with gratitude. Now, the last chapter of my book is sharing hope. We share hope like we share a hug, like we share love. It's the currency, okay, to leading a resilient life. If I didn't have hope that somehow, some way, I was going to see my daughter graduate high school, graduate college, go on to a career as a TV reporter, and hopefully walk her down the aisle someday, how was I going to make it? Hope allows you to lead that resilient life, to lift yourself up emotionally, physically, financially, and in relationship. And then we lift up others. That's a good life. So I want to actually tell you that how did I do that is that I find a happy place. My happy place is the basketball court. I played 2 hours yesterday. Not bad for an old man of 57. Go find your happy place, that stress-free zone. It could be cooking. It could be travel. It could be reading. It can be poetry. It can be yoga. It could be hiking. Go find that place. Go there often. And it is shining so brightly in this room and for others. We need sunglasses because if we shine brightly, and that's a choice, as my grandmother said, we choose to shine brightly a little bit each day for ourselves, for others, and in our communities, the world will be a better place. Thank you.
Awesome. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Howard. Okay, does everybody remember their homework? Selfie. Send to yourself. Tell yourself what you love about yourself or like about yourself. The positives, not the negatives. And then that same selfie, send it to someone else that maybe you've got a bit of angst with or whatever, and tell them how much you care about them. And then shining brightly is a choice. And absolutely, Howard, it is a choice. Every day we've been blessed with the power of choice, but we need to choose wisely. And yeah, amazing. And I can't wait for the Q&A session. So,
Thank you.
okay, thank you, Howard. It gives me great pleasure now to introduce you to our second speaker of the evening, who is Nicola Holt. Nicola's written this in the first person, so I shall read it in the first person. So, not me, Nicola Holt, she's the director of a digital marketing agency, Technics Solutions Limited. In her role, her role, she specializes in crafting engaging content for social media and blogs, working with world-class designers and websites to ensure their stories reach their audience effectively with SEO to match. During the pandemic, she had the privilege of contributing to the growth of a publishing company, which now boasts a six-figure turnover and has received recognition through awards for its outstanding work in diversity and inclusion. I know which one that is, Nicola. And additionally, she's involved in marketing for The Outskirts of Faith, a podcast produced by the largest UK Christian audio publishers. It's been an inspiring journey connecting with audiences through meaningful content. And I'll leave it there, Nicola. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I think what I'm going to start with is to explain to people that I am a faith-based speaker. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I came into faith, and then I'm going to also talk to you a little bit of how I came into running my first business, then my second business, and also on to my third business, and how I help people within the business industry using my faith. And they are two of the most passionate subjects that I am most passionate about. So I am 45, and I grew up with my father and my brother, with the main, as my father is my main carer, but my grandmother was a great influence in my life. She was the person that introduced me to religion or church life and the belief in the stories of God. And I grew up with this understanding, or with this knowing, that God existed, and that, David and Goliath, Jonah and the whale, all the main children's stories. And I was happy with that. Then I met my first partner when I was 15, and he was a Christian, and he introduced me to church life. We didn't go to church, but he spoke about the Bible, and he spoke about his going to church. And when we were out in Australia traveling, we met a guy called Mick who did go to church, and it was called Potter's House. I went and gave my heart to Jesus when I was 19 years old. And that was the start of my Christian, my purposeful walk in God. It didn't go so well because of one reason or another. And I fell away from the church and didn't come back to it until my late 20s. And when I was in my late 20s, I live in Cranley. In my local community, there are 4 churches. And I actually had a look at all 4 churches and to see which one would be most suitable for me. I knew that it was something I needed. I knew that I needed to build my faith. It was instinct. It was something that speaks to you in your mind, and it was my gut as well. And so I traveled around Cranley looking at all the different churches and ended up with a Methodist. I am a Methodist as a member, and I spent 11 years with the Methodists and almost trained to become a local preacher. I started my walk. I was going to speak the word of God. I didn't know whether it was my ego, and thought that it was quite wonderful that people were up speaking about God and, wearing their clothes, or whether I actually just wanted to share what it is that I'd found in God, and how, you know, the direct source of my relationship had actually helped me through various different struggles in my personal life and my business life. It's not my ego. It's my genuine need to connect at that level with, you know, Christ like-minded people, and it's a totally different way of life. There are ups and downs in life, but the support, the feel of support, or the knowing that you are loved in such a encompassing way that you almost feel like you won't fall over. And it's such a wonderful family network. So here I am with the Methodist Church. There was problems going on with the Methodist Church, and I didn't complete my training to be a local preacher. And my sons, I'm a mother of two, they're now 17 and 14. And at the time, they didn't have the youth group or the youth support within the church. And my eldest son wanted to go and spend some time with his friends. So we ended up as a family going up to the Baptist church, and I spent about 6 years and building a community. So bearing in mind, I'm listening to the word of God, I'm building my faith, my level of understanding of my purpose within the world. And that is such an integral and incredible thing to find if you can understand who, what, and where you are needed in life, not just as a mother, not just as a business person, not just as a daughter, not just as a, you know, as a human being. If you can actually connect at that level, it's out of this world. So I've spent 6 years with the Baptist Church. I've joined Bible groups. I've found friends. My children have found friends. They don't actually go to church anymore. And I actually would like to come back into speaking, standing up and speaking about the word of God. So I've come back into the Methodist. I'm now back into being a Methodist member. And, you know, this is where I am today. I am speaking in parts of congregation, speaking God's word, and reading scripture to various different people. So that is my faith journey in a nutshell. This is, you know, I'm 45. I've spent, you know, nearly 20 years on over 20 years on a purposeful walk to build the strength of the core of my faith. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my business now, my business life, and then I'm going to join the two and talk to you a little bit about how having faith, the strength of a faith, and working with somebody that has got a strong faith, that can understand a little bit about how God operates, and you know, where our future is, basically. The strength of the love of God. So in my business life, when I was younger, so it would have been between the ages of 5 and 10, I spoke to my mum about wanting to be a businesswoman. You know, those ideas when you're younger, what do you want to be when you grow up? I actually said to my mum, I want to be a businesswoman. And the funny thing is, the journey from when I was little up until through my teens, where I did my work experience in a graphic design agency. So I still had this idea, this strong idea of who I was and what I wanted to be. And I wanted to be a businesswoman, and I wanted it to be in design. I was interested in design. I was interested in art. I loved art. So I've traveled from a very young age up to when I was going through my teens. I knew that I wanted to have my own business. I didn't like the rat race of 9 to 5, getting up in the morning, going to do something that really I wasn't passionate about. I would put my heart into it, but it wasn't me, it wasn't mine. So I, explored with the library, I explored with my ex-partner, and I actually met somebody in a temping role, who then became the father of my children, and we went into business together. He was in IT. He knew how to develop websites, and I was good at marketing. I was good at I was good at writing. I was good at organizing things, events and things like that. So we formed NetTag. NetTag Limited had lots of high profile clients. It had Bahamas Tourist Office. It had My Movie Stream. It had Hot Springs. It had government agencies. And we even had our very own office. And I was living my dream. We had, we made £70,000 in our first year. And we were in our early 20s. I think I was about 23 or 24. And Neil was even, he's two and a half, 3 years younger than I am. So just imagine, 20 years ago, it was closer to the dot-com boom and far more trickier to actually make anything in business than, at that time. So we were doing really, really well. We were involved in Good Connection, which was a charity social media site. We were involved in pitching for £1 million contracts. We had successes and we also had failures, and we learned a lot. We couldn't grow. We had to figure out how we were going to make extra regular money, build our team, and grow our business. And we just couldn't get there. We were doing so many hours. Neil was working through the night. We had our first child to deal with. We also had to find a way of purchasing a home. So we ended up having to dissolve NetTag, and we ended up having to go into other areas of work, which was really disappointing. And I broke from Neil about 14 years ago. And it was when William was 10 months old. So bearing in mind, I've got 2 young children, a 3-year-old and a 10-month-old. And I knew that my only, my only chance to earn something greater than the 9 to 5, and I couldn't see myself living without my children or be away from looking after my children. It was really painful. So I've devised in my mind, when I was ready and when the boys were old enough to, I think William was walking, I came up with the idea of Technics. What will I do? How will I grow it? She had very low overheads. I did it with a laptop. I did it with very, very minimal areas. And I got myself to a stage where I was ready to go networking. I spoke to various different people. One of my first clients was Pitman, which was a super brand. Pitman are a super brand, and it was just incredible. They're up there with Apple, British Airways, Google, all of the brands that are up there. You wouldn't believe it. It was a company that was born in the 1800s, and their business model is incredible, and they're still going after the pandemic. I did the Guildford Pitman social media, and I also did some training with them as well. And so I grew from there. I grew my clients. I had 2 years worth of networking with Connect Surrey. I had membership with Fabulous Networking. Lots of people started to get to know me. They started to get to trust who I was, what I used to speak about, how, where my strengths were. I've put myself through a digital diploma, and I've met various different people along the way. I took Ben Kench's, who's the #1 UK sales director. Ben Kench runs Business Booster, So I went there, I met Brenda Dempsey, I met Andrea Smith, I met Adam Buttery, all of the different people that led me to the point of helping Brenda start Book Brilliance Publishing. And it was via Ben Kench that I met Brenda. And I became Brenda's technical director. We started to put her web development together. We started to put her networking area together. We started to put a marketing plan together, and we started to put her social areas together. And obviously, you know, I can't stay as somebody's technical director. I have to focus on the core areas of my business. I can't stay away from my business for too long. But it's those areas that I take great pleasure in. And I'm still an ambassador for Book Brilliance Publishing, which Ritu Sharma published with one of her books, who's here this evening. And it's a pleasure to still be very, very good friends with Brenda. I've also had the opportunity to help with the web development and the, speaking about various different forms of marketing for a gaming company. Technic Solutions have been specializing in new startups. So the idea is that I have taken this journey, I've applied my faith, I've spoken to God, I've put prayer into the different actions, because obviously I was, a one-man band, a single parent, and it's not easy starting up your own business. You've got to be able to, provide. And I just, I took it from there. I took it step by step. I asked for assistance from the government. The government helped, which is called the Enterprise Allowance. They supplied money. They supplied business plan areas. Pinnacle people support you with your business plan and other areas of your business. And they also supplied me with a mentor, Richard Harding, which was invaluable. It was something which supports you along your way within business. There's so many different people that I've worked with. I'm now working with Elliot Frisbee and Andrew Stamp. They are with the Outskirts of Faith podcast. This stems from me wanting to do the public speaking, and Elliot has been listening to various different bits and pieces that I've been doing. So I'm now helping with the marketing of Outskirts of Faith, which is a podcast for Christians, or well, not even just Christians, anybody that is on the outskirts of faith, wondering what they want to do, or what's available to them. There are many different amazing speakers that have been put into how their faith operates within their life. Elliot Frisbee runs Monkey Nut Audio UK, who is the #1 Christian audio publishers in the UK. He's published Ellie Goulding, Governor B, who's been at the Mobo Awards. He's got so many different amazing speakers. He records them. He does so many amazing things. He's also sang live at the Albert Hall with one of the Bee Gees. He's a singer. So these are the amazing people. Eni Osong, who is also, you speak to him, and he does various different forms of marketing, and he also does his global.media. He's had a London company. He's now more coastal, and he will propel you into fame. He's supported me via my speaking journey. He's set up various different areas within the faith in business role. And he does what he says on the tin. And it's a step-by-step process. It's a purposeful, intentful, action-taking area of life. So I've now started to my faith in business journey, a stronger speaking. I am a faith in business speaker. I have my own LinkedIn audio that runs every Tuesday. The next one is on the 10th of October, so you're all more than welcome to join. I have met Aloho, who who has her own show on Heart Song Radio, Scotland's Heart Song Radio, which is #1 Christian radio in Scotland. She's been advertised in Edinburgh on double-decker buses, and so has Heart Song. And I spoke with them more so recently. So that is another speaking gig. And I've had 2 podcasts, beg my pardon. I've spoken in many different areas with regards to my faith. I've coupled that with philosophy. Carol, how much longer have I got?
About 3 minutes or so.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would like to just speak a little bit about, to draw this to an end, I would love to share more with who needs to know about the journey in Christ. When you put your faith in Christ, it's where it's a solid growth area where you can follow. If you put your faith in physical, material things, in areas, it's interchangeable. It changes quickly. You've got to think on your feet more, and it won't feel as successful. You start putting your faith in spirit and in the Holy Spirit, you will become fuller, and the completion of your tasks and your thought and how you're feeling will be more complete. There's so much more that I would like to say about this area, and some of the things that I've learned on my public speaking training area is, for one, you've got the primacy effect. So your audience will always remember the beginning and the end. So hopefully you'll remember that I am a faith-based speaker, and I've had a journey within my faith from a very early age. And I've also had a long journey within business as well. So I'm very, very passionate about these areas. If you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat or contact me on LinkedIn, or find me on my website. I'm Technic Solutions. I'm Nicola Holt, and I run Technic Solutions, a digital agency who have been specializing in startups. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Nicola. Yes. And if you're on LinkedIn, do join her Faith in Business audio rooms. Yeah, amazing. So yes, we met after such a long time, because I was once the ambassador for Brenda's Dempsey's book publishing, Book Brilliance Publishing, DEI. Yes, that was a long time ago, many years ago. So yes, and she's just gone from strength to strength, hasn't she, with a lot of awards. So yeah, Nicola, thank you. And I can relate to your faith journey. Well, mine started a lot later at 32. So yeah, nearly 68 years now. So I've lived longer as a Christian than the non-Christian. But yes, okay, thank you. And we'll probably have some questions for you after. And now I'd like to introduce you to our final speaker of the evening, who is Oliver Marcelle. Oliver, please don't let me down with your So Oliver C. Marcelle is a devoted husband, father, speaker, author, and gifted marriage strategist, specializing in helping couples create and maintain their dream relationships. He co-founded Denoli LLC with his wife Denise, passionately sharing their journey to inspire others to succeed personally and professionally in life and relationships. Take it away, Oliver.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate it. And Ritu, I thank you for the opportunity to be amongst this great group. Listen, before I get started, I know, as you have been, I have been just inspired by Howard and Nicola. Did I say that correct? Listen, if you came into this space unsure about whether miracles exist, you you leave this space sure about it after hearing the incredibly inspirational journey that Howard shared. Thank you for that. And I love the passion, Nicola, that you talk with in terms of your faith, and you are living proof that your gift will make room for you with the incredible opportunities and people that you have come across. So that is living proof that faith, the marriage of faith and you allowing it to be a part of your life is can be evident in what you do, man. So I just want to give you all a round of applause, and I encourage everybody else to do that as well, man. Great, great, great inspiration. I could just say my name and maybe leave because we've already been inspired. But since I have to say something, I'm going to go ahead and say a couple extra words. I'm going to do somewhat like what you see some television shows and movies do. I'm going to give you the current day, and then we're going to go back. And so the current day, for those of you who may not know who I am, I was toying about whether I was going to share my screen or not. I think I will. Why not? I feel like I'm easy on the eyes, but I'm gonna give you something else to look at. How about that? All right. So here is the present day. The present day is that I am an author, speaker, and coach in the relationship building and men's empowerment spaces. The goal being to do what is on my t-shirt. If you don't see my t-shirt says 2020 before hindsight. That comes straight out of the book that I wrote, Overcoming the Man Laws. There's so much that I've learned in hindsight. There's so many mistakes that have been made, so many pitfalls that I've fallen into and had to come out of, be dug out of, or dig myself out of. My goal in everything that I do in the relationship building and men's enrichment space is to help at least one person gain some level of clarity on the front end before they do something, say something, get around some folk, make some decisions that may throw off the trajectory of their lives. And so here's what we're going to do today. Today, I'm going to share with you 3 things that I've learned. I'm going to use my backstory to share 3 things that I've learned and a discovery that I've made about myself and you. And I know you're like, wait a minute, discovery about me? You don't even know me. Trust me. I promise you, this discovery applies to you as well. And so let's dig into it. Let's dig into the backstory. So now that you know the present day, like they would on television, they would take you back. We're going to go back a few years, a few chapters back in the story of my life. This is a picture of me right at the start of my college career, if you will. And I was this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed dreamer at this age of my life. So I remember vividly, I'm in Maryland. For those of you who are familiar with the United States, I'm on the eastern coast of the United States. I went to school in the Midwest United States. So I vividly remember driving from Maryland to Michigan. That's where I went to school, in Michigan. Southwest Michigan. I remember driving from Maryland to Michigan, looking out the window, daydreaming about what life would be like. I'm a kid. I'm just starting this life. I'm coming from inner city Baltimore. I'm going out to rural Michigan. It's a cultural change. I'm excited about what life is going to bring. I'm thinking, man, I'm going to go get this degree. I'm going to make all this money. I'm going to have this beautiful wife. I'm going to have the 2.5 kids and the picket fence. I'm going to have all of that. And I'm just daydreaming. I fall asleep. I wake back up. I'm daydreaming again. I get to Michigan. Here's a picture of me, just this young kid full of energy and life, even though it doesn't look like it in the picture. I was full of energy and life at that time. But let me fast forward a little bit. During my college career, I experienced the most horrendous disappointments, right? Starting with I went to school for broadcasting initially. So the disappointment started when the university that I went to phased out the broadcasting program, but I was already in debt. that started a snowball effect of just disappointment after disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And at some point in my life, what I chose to do was internalize those disappointments, ball them up, create a badge of honor that I wore proudly on my chest. That badge of honor now gave me the license to act up and to live reckless. And so now this kid that was just dangerously ambitious now was just really dangerous. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit more because I want to get to what I learned. Fast forward. One part of what I daydreamed about did come true. I did meet the woman of my dreams. I did. And we got married. However, I took a lot of that badge of honor. I was still wearing a large portion of that badge when we got married. So you can imagine what the beginning of that looks like when you have a guy who has great ambition, a myriad of disappointments, a badge of honor that gives him license to act up. And now he's trying to turn all of that around magically somehow to be a great husband. It didn't work that way in the beginning. So now I'm in a situation where I am not living out my vows the way that I should be. I am not treating my wife the way I should be. I'm not becoming this individual that I should be. And if I were to put a banner over this that I'm sharing with you, it would be to how to go from underproducing to overcoming. I'm heavily underproducing at this point in my life. And I'm gonna give you the turnaround point. Because what I love about what I heard so far today is that much of our purpose seems to come from the struggle of our journey. Whether that be the things that we go through, the things that we experience, the disappointments that we have in life. I dare say, and I'm not going to say that this is this is the end all be all, but I dare say that if you're looking to find your purpose, look back through the experiences that you've gone through, look back through the pain that you've endured and overcome from, and you may find it in there. So back to the story. Here's my turnaround moment. My turnaround moment comes 18 months into my marriage. Now, remember, if you've got your mind's eye open. I'm this young kid. I go through all these disappointments. I turn those disappointments into a license to just be foolish. I'm married now. I take some of that foolishness into my marriage. Here's the turnaround moment. 18 months in, I come in to the house where we were living in Michigan. I get in around 4 a.m. That in and of itself is a red flag, but we're not going to go down that road. That's another story for another time. But I come into the house at 4 a.m. and Nicola, you'll get this. I was reading a Max Lucado devotional, and this Max Lucado devotional, how it was set up is that you read the devotional. It had a text that was a scripture reference that was attached to it, and then it had some lines on the bottom where you could journal. And it would ask you a question to get your journaling started, right? So I'm a person of faith as well, just to put the pieces together for that, right? So I even though I'm in the height of my foolishness, I'm wearing this badge of honor that causes me license to act up. I was still involved, very heavily involved in the faith-based community. I was a musician, so I played for churches and choirs. I was still reading the Max Lucado book. So here's the story. I come in 4 a.m. I pull out the book like I normally do. I read the devotion. I start journaling, and I remember it like it happened last night. I'm sitting on a green couch, and there's a red chair that my son, when he was born, when he could start talking, he called it the thinking chair because it was from a kids show that he watched. I could see it sitting on this green sofa. As I read this devotion, a thought pops into my mind. And Nicola, you talked about the Holy Spirit. I'm going to chalk it up to that. A thought pops into my mind. Here's the thought, the question. Oh, here's what I didn't tell you. Let me give you more context. At this time, I also have two small daughters. The question that pops into my mind is, there are two small young girls down the hall from where you're sitting right now. If they grow up and they bring home this current version of you, how are you going to feel? Now, let me give you some more context. This young kid, as nice of a guy as he was a hothead, a recovering hothead. So in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that may happen, but only one man survives, and it's going to be me. That's the hothead response. Right as I think that response, on the heels of that is the thing that hit me in my chest so hard that I remember actually laying back on the green couch. And it was this question. Okay, if that's your response, what are you going to do about you? That's the answer I didn't have. But thankfully, I had the frame of mind to say, even though I don't have the answer to that, I am going to spend the rest of my days finding that answer. That night or morning, if you will, began a journey of self-discovery that I share in my book, Overcoming the Man Loss, for the man who wants to be his best despite what he was taught. I shared that level, that journey of self-discovery in all of those areas that I grappled with. And here's what I've learned over the course of that time. First of all, the discovery, and remember I said I discovered something about you, even though I don't know you. And I tell everybody this that I come across is that you have a purpose, you have a passion, and you have a path. And you can discover what it is with a little persistence. Remember that. Remember that. There were three things that were significant in my journey of self-discovery, which is ongoing, by the way, because remember, I said, if I put a banner over this, it's going from underproducing to overcoming, not that I overcame. I'm still on a journey, just like all of us are. And here are some of the things I had to learn. First thing is that I had to change my mindset. Here's what I was really great at when I was younger. I could change my behavior on a dime. So remember, I said I'm heavily involved in the faith-based space. So how can somebody who's living crazy be heavily involved in the faith-based space at the same time? It's because I could change my behavior on a dime. So I could be doing foolishness in one place, and then when it's time to go play for the choir, I can straighten up, fly right. But here's the thing with that. Behavioral change without mindset change is not sustainable long-term. So, and I keep looking over here because that's where you guys are on screen. So I'm trying to see everybody's faces. Behavioral change without mindset change is not sustainable long-term. And I learned that the hard way. And it's kind of summed up in this Albert Einstein quote that we can't solve our problems with the same thinking that we had when we created them. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to become a better husband with the same mindset. I tried to become a better father with the same mindset. I tried to become a better man with the same old mindset. And I couldn't do it. So the first thing I had to do was change my mindset. And that's one thing that I encourage everybody to do and walk my clients through that process of really shifting their perspective, because often your approach is aligned to your perspective. So if you don't like the results of your approach, yes, you can change your behavior, but you probably need to evaluate your perspective. Behavioral change without mindset is not sustainable long-term. The second thing I had to do was shadow my future. The beautiful thing that God allowed me to experience was running into a gentleman. He's no longer alive, rest his soul, Dr. Anthony Kelly, that took me through a 4-step framework that I talk about in my book that I encourage everybody to either go through or take somebody through. And that 4-step framework is observation, training, execution, and feedback. He allowed me to watch him. Remember, I told you I was a musician. He was a pastor. Dr. Anthony Kelly was a pastor. And on a few occasions, I got to spend time with him in Chicago as his musician. And during those times that I would be his musician, because I was about an hour and 15 minutes away in Southwest Michigan, I would live with him and his family. I watched how he was as a husband. I watched how he was as a father. I watched how he interacted with the congregants. And I said, wait a minute, there's something here that I need to take. So everybody should go through that process of observation, training, execution, and feedback. And I won't go deep into that because I don't want to take a lot of time so that I can end soon. But once you go through that process and you take others through that, it gives them the opportunity to learn and grow. And that was the opportunity that I got, shadowing my future, simply meaning to look for individuals who are on the path that I want to be on, are accomplishing the goals that I aspire to accomplish, and following their lead. So the first thing I had to do was change my mindset. Second thing, shadow my future. The third thing I had to realize is that adjustments are not a threat to my authenticity. I grew up with this mentality. Remember, my book is called Overcoming the Man Laws. I grew up with this mentality that there were certain things that were steadfast and could not be changed or broken. And I took that mentality into my marriage. Now, let's be clear about something. That don't work. Can we just be clear about that? That doesn't work, right? So I had to begin to make adjustments. The thing that I was afraid about in making these adjustments is that it would change who I felt I was at the core. So I really bucked against making those adjustments because I didn't want to change who I am. I like who I am at the core, but these adjustments were stretching me in places that I just wasn't ready for. Adjustments are never a threat to your authenticity. And here's the example that I give so many individuals, especially men that I get to coach, because they'll understand this. Those of you who are basketball fans will understand this. On the basketball court are 5 positions. Let's say the point guard is playing a certain way, and the coach comes to the point guard and says, hey, listen, I would love if you would consider changing your defensive stance against left-handed people. That's an adjustment he's asking him to make. What he did not say to the point guard is, you are no longer a point guard. He gave the point guard an adjustment that he could make that would actually be conducive to his success in winning the game. And once I understood that, internalized that, I began to embrace the adjustments that were happening on this journey of self-discovery that I was going through. So those were the 3 things that I learned through that experience and through this journey that I've been on: to change your mindset, to shadow your future, and to make sure that you are making the adjustments that are necessary in order for you to win at life. And so as such, fast forward even further, if you had told me that I would be in a space where I would be helping couples to navigate relationships and communicate on an extraordinary level and recognize, manage, and recover from conflict in record time and build holistic, intimate bonds, and I would be helping men win at every area of life, I would have not seen it. But as I started in the beginning of the story, I'm here at the end of the story saying that, listen, these things can happen. You can see progress. You can see the needle moved in your life if you are willing to change your mindset, shadow your future, and make the proper adjustments. Listen, this has been great. I don't have anything else to say because it's been so inspirational. I'm just going to leave it at that. My name is Oliver Marcelle, author, speaker, and coach in the relationship building and men's enrichment spaces. Please connect with me. I would love to have a conversation with you. Thank you.
And I hasten to add, if you're looking for a voiceover, well, look no further.
I do that as well.
I could listen to you for hours, Oliver. And also you have a podcast, Love Entrepreneurship, or Love Entrepreneurs. Yes.
I do. I feel like the plate is kind of filling up here. So we do a marriage podcast called The Relationship Trade Secrets. I do a podcast for entrepreneurs called The Life of an Entrepreneur as well.
Awesome. Well, this has been a very inspirational evening, and working in reverse, Oliver, thank you for giving up your time and sharing with us. Thank you, Nicola, and thank you, Howard. And now I'm delighted to open up the floor for questions. So Ephraim, go for it.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. I'm so honored and privileged to be a part of this platform to hear this message as a young people. So inspiring from the first speaker, Howard, living miraculously. It is really so inspirational. It made me fall in love with the more prayers than I usually do. I just want to strictly address my questions to Nicola. He is a good specialist in this digital world. And I have the questions here in Africa. And by the way, I'm from Rwanda, eastern part of Africa, country that is always called a country of 1,000 hills. I'm at 25 years old. My question is, here in Africa, many young people are really interested. And when you see it as a big picture and it is now taking all over parts of Africa, young people want to live in a real life that they do always see on the social medias. And which honestly, when you do observe, and then I can take a little bit evidence from like my friends, they do just go and take good pictures, shoot good videos, and they do post it on Instagram, whatever. And others who are followers, sometimes they do really want to live that life, which is unreal. Hence, they preoccupy with the nothingness. And you know that at 16 years old, between 16 years old and 26, everyone could be depressed. This is the statistics that has been shown. So what is your advice to these young people who want to live in this real life? And what is the contribution that could be done, and how it should be realized for this young to know that this is not the real life for some people, and how to recognize the real life, so which is so inspiring to the young people. The last question, I just want to address this to the Oliver, who has, by the way, good voices that you can hear for a whole of the day. Thank you. You've mentioned something to change the mindset. This is something sensitive for me when it comes to the experience that I just got from my university. I'm a fresh graduate, and I just got an opportunity to serve the students at my university as the deputy guild president and also the deputy speaker for the student government. When you look to this, many of my young fellows here, they don't have this kind of positive attitude. They don't have this mindset, which is not well settled. And you've mentioned that the first step is to change this mindset. So how these things is possible for someone who has that problem, and how does he should do that as someone who has this problem? And I don't know how he can do this. And what is your advice? Thank you very much.
I mean, do you want us to? Do you want me to start with the answering? Okay. Yeah. Hi, Ephraim. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being here this evening. My thoughts on social media and spending too much on screen time are not to obsess over it too much, and not to over worry or put over fear into the situation. I think when you put love into anything that you're doing, you do things with love and the courage of your convictions, you'll see through. You'll have a way of having maybe an initiative of a mental health walk, or coupling. Many people are on computer screens in their jobs today. Many people are using social media to promote their businesses and so on and so forth. So it's to actually all in moderation. Something my father used to say to me when I was growing up, something, if you're doing things you know, looking after your health and looking after your nutrition and looking after your spirit, you know, everything that you're doing within your life, and actually maybe write a journal. Yes, there are so many people on screen time, but what else are they doing? They are doing other bits and pieces. So I think to take it out of your mind, and maybe not to obsess over the fact that you've spent too long on your screen, and to, you know, do some breathing exercises as well. I'm sure that if it is, before it becomes too much of a problem, governments, and there'll be world initiatives of, you know, like we have our 5 pieces of fruit and veg a day, or so on and so forth. And maybe we should start something more of that now, and maybe find strong groups of people that will actually put something together so the message is clearer, that we need to maybe have a little bit less of screen time and stop obsessing over our lives on social media, and be connected to our friends and family, and maybe not a show life that we have on our social media. So I think that well, we do our best. I think we do our best to connect. The light of the world is present, and we do our best. So that's my opinion, Ephraim. Thank you.
Can I add one,
Howard?
Carol? Carol, I
Yeah,
just want to add one thing.
absolutely.
Ephraim, you see this device here called your cell phone? Schedule time away from it. Put it down, go for a walk. Don't carry it with you, and say, listen, from 3 to 5 p.m., you're going to divorce and not use your phone. And you do it, and then someone go, where's your phone? Yeah, I don't need it right now. Schedule time away from your phone. It's a very simple but disciplined thing to do.
Excellent. Oliver?
Yes, thank you for the question about mindset. I want to say just very briefly, I'm gonna tag on to what the other 2 speakers said as well, is that there is this push for some folk to do and emulate what they see, right? And we have to be really careful and intentional about looking at the things around us and prioritizing the real things around us the same way we would those, because there's the life you live should not be compared to somebody else's life, right? The life you live has joys in it that you can pull from it. The life you live has happiness that you can pull from it, that doesn't necessarily have to be tied to glitz and glamour or to money and fame, but are tied to your peace of mind, and tied to the folk around you that you love the most, and tied to the experiences that you love to experience that are right around you and that are at your grasp. And so really being intentional about balancing, if not tipping the scales in the direction of those other things, will help to lessen the lights that you get from the social media piece. As far as the mindset piece, especially with the guys that you are working with, that you get to work with, I would say really develop relationships with them so that you can learn what their interests are. Because what I tend to do with my clients is that I use illustrations that are tied to things that they can relate to. And then often what I'll do is we'll go through an end result exercise. What is the end result that you're looking for? Well, I want to be able to do this, and I want to be able to do that, and I want this kind of money, and I want this. And they go through this end result exercise, and then have them reverse engineer how do they get there. So sometimes doing the mindset work for some people it comes easy for them, but for some people they need to be walked tangibly through the process that will then be conducive to their change of mindset. And so as you develop those relationships with them, you can find ways of connecting with them in a way that allows you to influence and impact them using stuff that they already resonate with.
Excellent. What I love about you, Ephraim, you are on a journey for continuous improvement and learning. You've got such a humble heart and a humble spirit. Yeah, the first time I met you on I think it was an audio room, or no, it was a Zoom. You asked those searching questions. So I applaud you for doing that. And thank you for asking those questions tonight. I just want to say a quick hello. Hi, Damien. I'll get you on in a moment. Quick hi to David Isan and Josh Daniel. Joshua, I've just commissioned to do me a 2D animation for one of the products, my very first time. So thank you, Joshua, for joining us. Yeah, if you never thought of 2D animation, hey, I will show you mine when it's ready. Okay, Damien, go for it. You're off mute, but we can't hear you.
Thank you, Carol, for inviting me. I think this is a great conversation. So many layers of inspiration with the different panelists. I'm familiar with half of the panelists through social media. I'm familiar with Howard through Paul and Nicola through Annie's audio room, where Annie and they collaborate. And Oliver, I just met you, and it was great to hear you, and I sent you an invite on LinkedIn. I do have two questions for the panelists, everyone. What is the most humbling experience that you have ever had? One, and then the last thing is during your, because you have so many unique journeys of inspiration that got you to this point, what advice would you give your younger self? So one is humbling experiences, and what advice would you give your younger self if you had the opportunity to?
Wants to go first?
I can go first. Damien, great to see you. Great to be connected with you multiple ways through Annie and the audio rooms and also online. So I think that if I didn't actually recognize that 2 times my life came to a screeching halt via stage 4 cancer diagnosis, that was there. That you know, when you're actually faced with your life clock being completely shortened, that is humbling. Now, I've done lots of stupid stuff, you know, as far as made mistakes in relationship and in business as well, but nothing compares to that. That's at the top of the mountain as far as that. And what would I tell my younger self was pacing. I was in such a rush to, you know, make money and to get accomplished. And what happens is that I lost my balance. I lost my rhythm and my flow, as my coach Gail would say. And I will tell you that multiple times in my life, I just became a workaholic. And you know, working 20 hours a day doesn't solve it, doesn't do anything except take away from you. And so those are the 2 things that I would say that I would teach myself: pacing, and it didn't have to rush to the finish line, because life is a marathon, not a sprint.
Amen. Okay, so I think being in here and listening to Howard and his story is probably one of the most humbling. Having 2% or 4% chance of life and actually having to fight for your life it won't be much fun at all. Also becoming a mother, my first child, you know, my giving birth, that type of purposeful, humbling, you know, it makes you want to be a better person. I am who I am today because of my children. I am who I am today because of the support that I've had around me. I didn't just get here by myself. And I probably would say that I don't need to worry or be afraid as much. Jesus is a singularity. He was born for all of us, and to understand that as connecting to, you know, the light of the world, and him being alive in heaven, and how creation is, to actually be present in that and just be, is probably, you know, the most humbling experience, you know. we are alive today because of him. So that's quite incredible, I think. Anyway, that's me. Thank you.
That's good. I've had several humbling experiences, but I'd say the one I mentioned today is probably right up there in the top 5. Just the realization that early morning that I was actually headed toward a brick wall at 100 miles an hour, with the possibility of losing my marriage and wrecking my family and destroying what little I was even able to get to at that point because of all the disappointments. That moment, that morning at 4 a.m., man, was like, it's I can't describe it. Like, even when I talk about it, and I've talked about it several times, I have the same feeling sometimes that I had. So that was an incredibly humbling experience. Some things that I went through with my kids as well. The advice I would give my younger self is wrapped in a phrase that I share with people quite often, and it is this: you probably should not demand something you haven't first developed. And I spent a considerable amount of my life looking for individuals to be a certain way, to treat me a certain way, my wife included, for me to gain certain things. And I was not developing any of those. Looking for respect, not respectful. Looking for trust, not trustworthy. And so for my younger self, I would be like, listen, man, spend some time developing into who you want to become.
Excellent, excellent. Gail.
So first of all, I'd like to say that all of you were fantastic. Oliver, I've heard you before. You guys have no idea how giving this man is. He's incredible. Howard, we've been on stage before together. So yes, I've heard you before, and nice to meet you, Nicola. Very, very nice. So all of you are just fantastic. Thank you for your time. I do have a question for you to ponder. You know, changes is constant, change is evolving, and we all are changing. And we're now at a turning point in man's history. Where do you see yourself as far as change is concerned in the next year? I asked the hard ones. You can ask Howard.
That's a good question.
Do you want to just ponder it, or would you like an answer?
If you feel compelled to answer, I love the way to answer. Yes, please do. You can ponder it, and send me a text sometime when you're like, I thought about it, and here's what I think.
Okay.
I think, just to take a stab at it, right? And this is what I'm learning through this journey of entrepreneurship. I believe I know where I'd like to see myself, but I'm learning to actually be led into whatever that is. So the answer could very well be, I'm not sure, but I'm open to where I'm going to be led based on what I feel like I want to see.
Nailed it, Oliver. Nailed it. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow. It's like whatever the universe tells me to do, my answer is yes. And it has not failed me ever. Right, Howard?
So I will tell you that, what's in my control, I agree with that. And so I'm learning the flow and the flowless process. And Nicola, you would say this is God-given as well, is that what I can control, I know that I can actually continue to improve myself emotionally, physically, financially, in relationships. That is within my control. And I know that if I keep spreading this shining brightly movement, I will motivate, educate, and inspire others to join hands and make this world a better place. That's in my control. But as Gail has coached me, and I am letting go of this tight grip that I have to be in control and to let the wind blow and take me where I need to be. So that's who I'm still learning. Let me tell you, I am learning. That's all I can tell you.
And that's the key. We're all just so learning. This was, Carol, fantastic lineup. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Yes, life is a journey, a learning journey. Any more questions from the floor? Damien, thank you for your question. Rick, do you have a question? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Well, you did.
Because I know you.
It's not so much a question, it's more Howard. My wife, she's gone down the breast cancer journey, and she wrote a book about it. Well, just a short book, which I have here. Get it on camera. Anyway, but your attitude is the attitude that she has, and she's not knocking anyone's the way people are about cancer, but she wants to make it a celebration. She wants to be positive, and rather than have this feel sorry for me attitude. And so it was refreshing to listen to you talking about how you went through it and just the pure positivity, love yourself, etc. And yeah, that's all I wanted. I just want to make that comment. Just chimed in with what Nicola. Yeah, my wife's called Nicola as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Rick, can I respond?
Yes, you can.
So let me tell you. So first of all, I want to send heartfelt prayers of strength to both you and Nicola, because
Thank you.
It's a team sport. You
Yeah.
are her caregiver.
Yeah.
You are supporting her emotionally, physically, financially, relationship-wise as well. And it's not so easy. So let me just tell you that, did I not tell you that I was curled up in a ball, that I was on steroids, that my blood pressure was 250 over 157? Do I still have chemo brain, and do I still have neuropathy? There's invisible disabilities that everyone tells me, you look great. You're great.
Yeah.
Your life is
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's far from that. That's not the truth. Okay. Now, did I not tend to? Most people, you don't want to stay in the woe is me and in the bad stuff too long, because we all have our lives to live.
Yeah.
So first of all, it was very therapeutic that I wrote a book. I walked my entire life back and interviewed 158 of the most influential, important people in my life. How cool is that? Okay. Because it showed appreciation for each spot, and we learned it. And the reason that I think my book is inspirational is that you can relate to my book because your family and my family aren't so different. Okay.
True.
And our journeys aren't. Now, I do not want anyone to face cancer, but your wife does. So for her to actually be positive as much as she can and use her voice to teach others is a beautiful thing if she chooses to do so. I have many people that keep their cancer battle very private, and that's okay too. Okay. There's no right or wrong way to do that.
Yeah,
well.
I agree. The what tends to wind her up is because she's so upbeat and positive. People said, well, did she really have cancer? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Whereas you're supposed to be downbeat, to be quite frank, dragging your ass around. No, because she's taken this attitude, and she's not alone. There's quite a few people like her who have taken that kind of attitude. And but listening to your story, I felt my heart went out to you twice. Oh my God.
Well, you have to play the deck of cards that the good Lord has given you to challenge. So I had to play that out, and I'm here breathing and alive. And now it's what you do about it. So the advice I will tell you is that when the first question I get most of the time after I speak is, I know someone with cancer, will you talk to them? And the answer is, of course, or I'll find someone that in their cancer space to talk to them, because the first thing is never isolate. Isolation it, just like in COVID, is loneliness, depression, and the worst thing that you can do. The second piece of advice I will say, it is your time of need. It's time to be selfish and be selfish. I was selfish. I wasn't able to take care of everybody else. I had to live. I had to take care of me. I stopped my companies and all that, but I have the chance to rebuild. And then the last piece of advice is what I said, is that it's not what you get, but what you give. And so many people lifted me up during this. And the first time I got sick, it was analog. There were no cell phones, no computers, and no internet to speak of. This time around, I actually allowed, by being public about my journey and going through this, oh my God, the support came from, I got prayers, I got memes, I got jokes, I got books. I got people delivering food and supplies and carpooling my daughter. The kindness that I received, I believe, led to my hope and helped save my life.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And there's aspects of your journey, Oliver, that I could chime into, but I won't go into that now. And Nicola, thank you very much for sharing. Really enjoyed that. Oh,
Appreciate you.
I'll shut up now.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments, Rick, and sharing about your personal life with Nicola. Send her our best wishes and say hi. Oh,
Nicola.
awesome. Okay, any more questions from the floor? I am just so bowled over with, the thing is, life, as I mentioned, is a journey, and on a day I was just coming in, on that journey, we will face ups and downs, but that's just part of life. But how we respond to it makes the difference. You were saying, Howard, when you started, about looking at ourselves in the mirror, what do you see? I see a beautiful woman who is appreciative because of whose I am. As Nicola was sharing, I am me. Wasn't always this way, but I am me because of the opportunities that have been afforded to me that have been out of my control. And Ephraim, I didn't know what I would be doing when I took retirement back in 2016. Oliver, I was led down this direction. See, everything comes full circle. I was led in the direction that I'm doing now. David is into blockchain. I started my blockchain journey at nearly 65. You're not too old to learn new tech. Life should be an adventure. It should be, because tomorrow is never guaranteed. And that's the way I live, in appreciation. My husband has been down the prostate cancer route too. But there's so many going through hurdles, pain, suffering. Hi, Oladeo. Love you to join us. Thank you for joining us. We're almost done now. But thank you for jumping on. Life has to have meaning. If your life is not without meaning and without purpose, why are you here? Give back. Howard, you're saying it's not just about receiving, it's about giving. What would you like to be remembered for? What is your legacy going to be? So, yes.
Is that a question for me?
It's just whatever you want it to be.
So I'll tell you that you don't even get 144 characters on your tombstone. You get loving husband, dad, and then you get your start date and your end date. Okay. So the way that people remember you, okay, is what your values are. And I will tell you that for those that are going through a tough time, my coaching and what's part of survivorship is to take the spotlight off yourself. People grind themselves, okay? They overanalyze, they overthink, and that leads to overindulgence and potentially drug use and anger management and all the bad stuff. So what I tell them very simply, I gave you a nice exercise today of telling you and appreciating yourself by sending yourself a selfie. When's the last time you did that? You haven't. And to reaching out to someone that you haven't talked to in a while and just say those, I care about you. I'm waiting to hear some of the answers back. Maybe you message me and say that I reconnected and I made somebody's day, or even more, that they really needed you at this time. And the thing is that when you take the spotlight off yourself and you go help someone, this is medically proven, your endorphins change, okay? If you go help somebody else, you're not thinking about you, you're actually thinking about them. And it's such a beautiful thing, and it's such a simple thing. And you can always come back to yourself, but go take the time to lift someone else up and see how much you actually just lifted your own self up.
Amen.
Love it.
Life of
Love it.
serving. Live a life of serving. We rise by lifting others.
Awesome. Awesome. Samuel, you're late to the party. We're almost finished. Oh, but thank you for joining us. Thank you, David. Thank you. So, okay, Ephraim, go for it. Oh,
Yes, I just want to also do the comments regarding, and I was thinking sometimes people do share these messages on the platform, which I was currently thinking, why do my colleagues are not really verbal and are not really here to listen to the message? But as the young people who migrated from the southern part of my country, in a rural area to where I was born, and fighting for finding scholarship of the government, learning very hard, and me also I was just striving for that to discover myself. Since I got received Jesus Christ as my King and Savior, I finally made it to university, and it is really hard. Many people who are living in this area, continent of Africa, to something of a giving back to the community. It's still something people need to be learning. So my comment was just to give the feedback of the messages that I've been listening to here, and I believe that I was just looking into the mirror myself, and I was looking to the guy who's going to bring this impact to the community, to the whole continent of Africa, who is shaping and trying to cultivate other fellows to find themselves also to contribute. Because me too, I believe that everyone, his reasons for existence is not accident, as too many people just keep saying it. So I would like to thank everyone. You might not know the level of contributions for someone else's here. Personally, it has contributed a lot. I just want to thank you, everyone. Highly appreciated and motivated. Thank you.
Amen.
Ephraim, your answers, and again, Nicola, you'll speak to this more than I am, but they're in the scripture that you're reading every day. They're in there. The answers, they're in there. Not again, and you apply them. So giving and moving forward, you're a university student now. You have a chance to be whatever you want to be and to bring improvement to yourself and to your people. And also, don't do it alone. There's people out there that now you're connected to that will bring advice and guidance and help and resource. So reach out and we'll try to connect you into our networks because you're here with us.
and Oladeo, I'm sure you could speak to that too.
Thank Thank you so much. I'm really excited that I could make this. Hello, everyone. Even though I came late, I picked one or two things from the powerful shares from Howard, from Nicola, Ephraim. And I just wanted to say that I was just having a discussion with someone earlier, and I said that, we have all misunderstood what life is. Life isn't about the hustling and the bustling of life. Life is all about, impact, is living beyond yourself. The moment you start living beyond yourself, the more you feel happy. It's just, I don't know how it works, but just like Howard said, the moment you're able to put yourself, let me not use say behind, you put others before you in the sense that you're living beyond yourself. What happens is that you connect to a deeper level of fulfillment and joy that you can't truly express. And that is why for me, one major thing is about impact and also responding to what Ephraim said about Africa. Most times the way we view Africa is from our own point of view. You only view the world from your own map. I have decided to be a solution. I have decided to be an answer. I have decided to solve a problem, to meet a need. I'm not waiting for anybody. I'm not waiting for anybody's permission. I'm not waiting for anybody to say to me that you are in Africa. I chose to be in Africa. I could have decided to be anywhere else. Fine, I was born in Africa. Maybe, yes, in Nigeria precisely. But all my siblings today are not in Nigeria. They've all relocated, but I chose to be here. And the fact that I chose to be here is because I believe that I am a person of value. So today I launched, a new initiative which has to do with mentorship for graduate level students with 0 to 4 years experience. Why? Because I see a need in there. I see a lot of people dying. I saw someone yesterday almost committing suicide. And I'm saying, how can I be of help? How can I bring my own experience to bear to help other people? So I'm networking, like Howard said, I'm networking with other people. How can you contribute? I can't do this alone. Let's do this together. What am I saying? You truly start living when you start living for others. The Bible says, except a grain of wheat falls to the ground and die, it remaineth alone. The day you die to self is the day you start living. So I just want to leave us with that I'm truly excited, about what is happening here. And I must commend you. You look amazing and keep up the amazing work that you're doing. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Oladeo. Oladeo has been a speaker on our Men from Mars event as well. Yeah, amazing. Thank you. Thank you for your share. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, any more questions? It's nearly 9 o'clock now. So yeah, connect with each other, but make it meaningful connections, not just to boost numbers, but meaningful connections. Yeah. And oh, by the way, there's some links in the chat. If you've just come in, you may not have access to them. So let me make sure I save the chat in case you want me to send you anything. I will stop recording now.